Discovered in Seneca results in arrest. We'll have the full story.
And we are continuing with below average temps, at least for right now. We're going to talk about that forecast coming up.
And look no feather. Turkey hunters are asked to send their harvest to the Missouri Department of Conservation.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us at KOAM News at Noon. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy. In today's top story, the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office announced a Galena man has drowned in a strip pit near West Mineral, Kansas. Emergency personnel from the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office, Columbus and West Mineral Fire Departments, and Cherokee County Ambulance Service were dispatched to the scene. According to officers, upon arrival, the body was recovered from the water. Officers stated the investigation shows the Galena man was fishing with a family member when he slipped on the embankment and entered the water. The identity of the deceased is being withheld until the family can be notified. 30 firearms and methamphetamine were discovered during a search warrant in Newton County. On Sunday, Newton County deputies conducted 2 car stops associated with 3321 Kentucky Road, north of Seneca, Missouri. Newton County Sheriff Chris Jennings stated that this location has recently been associated with drug activity and as well as a hangout for people with felony warrants. After the car stops, NCSO obtained a search warrant for the property and seized approximately 1.5 ounces of meth and a total of 30 firearms in the residence. Sheriff Jennings stated several rifles appear to be fully automatic weapons, as well as rifle suppressors, including full automatic. Sarah Clark was arrested and charged by the Newton County prosecutor for felony possession of a controlled substance and unlawful use of a weapon. The residence is also connected with the investigation and indictment of 40-year-old Jason Gibson. Gibson was arrested earlier this month. This comes after 1 year ago, Ozark Drug Enforcement Team arrested Jason Gibson at his residence on Condor Drive near Seneca for possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute. On August 29, 2023, Gibson was indicted on those charges. He is now in custody again at the Christian County Jail. And now let's take it over to Chris Warner for a look at the weather.
Yeah, we've still got below average temperatures across the area. We are warming up, but again, temperatures just a pinch below where they should be. Live look at the MoDOT camera, 20th and range line in Joplin. We've still got some sunshine, but we are seeing the increasing cloud cover across the area. And here it is on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, again, building in roughly from west to east across the area. And it will continue to do so as we head into the afternoon because it's associated with more clouds and some showers. Now, this shower activity is going to stay to our south and west as it moves on off to the east-southeast across the region. However, we do have some shower chances in our forecast. Otherwise, looking good. And then all eyes on Hurricane Lee churning out in the Atlantic, determining whether or not it's going to end up making landfall somewhere in the New England states. So something that we're going to be keeping a close eye on as well. We've got a pretty decent day yesterday. Look at this. Started the day right where we should be and just a few degrees below average, and that's about what we're looking at for us today. Temperatures around the region, again, not bad so far. 76 in Iola, Fort Scott, Nevada, 75 Pittsburgh, Joplin, Carthage, Lamar, Neosho, and Chatopa, 76 in Miami as well. So here's what we're keeping an eye on. A fantastic Wednesday, just the increasing clouds out there. We are looking at temperatures warming up. Staying below average today, but that's going to start to change over the next couple of days. And then we have a few showers possible heading into the weekend. We'll look at all of that in your complete forecast here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Pittsburgh housing projects received funding from Kansas Housing Resources Corporation. 2 housing projects in Pittsburgh were awarded federal grant funds and tax credits through the Kansas Housing Resources Corp., which will go towards 14 new multifamily rental units and 12 new single-family homes in Pittsburgh. Locally owned development team DVLP received $840,000 in MIH ARPA grant funds and $420,000 in tax credits for the Smithsonian's apartments, and that's located on 9th and Broadway in downtown Pittsburgh. This development will result in 14 new rental units. Target date of completion is spring of 2024. Then 3P Construction Services was also awarded $360,000 in tax credits for their Pittsburgh housing project, Sunflower Estates, which will include 12 new single-family homes. The neighborhood is expected to begin construction in early 2024. School sports are back to an old issue, a shortage of referees. In the region, every week, about 6 high school football games are being played on Thursdays or Saturdays for that reason. The Joplin High School football team, for example, had to move their first home game of the season to a Thursday because there were not enough officials for the Friday night game. But football is not alone. Other high school sports are also being impacted.
Particularly in the outdoor sports and in spring, there's a lot of schedule changes due to the weather. And so you might have 12 games one night and only have enough officials to cover 9 of those games.
You know, a big reason is also fans, that they're very tough on officials, and you know, we need all of our fans to remember that this is education-based athletics. They're there to support our team and our students. And
they're encouraging people who might be interested in becoming a referee to contact them. And the city of Pittsburgh hired about 3 dozen goats to help clear away brush from the city's parks this week. The 4-legged lawnmowers come from Oscar Mike Goat Rental, a veteran-owned and operated vegetation management company. For park staff, the addition seemed like a logical solution.
I think Robert has estimated this area behind us would take a day and a half to 2 days, and then we've got several more areas that we'll move them to once they get this complete to our satisfaction. I think they reduce it down to about a 50 to 70% removal of the vegetation.
The goats were brought in to take down invasive weeds and hazardous vegetation while reducing the city's chemical footprint. And the Missouri Department of Conservation is asking Missouri turkey hunters to save and share feathers from the wild turkeys they harvest this fall. Hunters who have harvested a turkey during the archery or fall firearm season are asked to mail feathers from their turkeys to MDC using a postage-paid envelope from MDC. The feathers will help MDC scientists improve research models used to monitor turkey population trends and estimate turkey numbers across the state. MDC instructs turkey hunters to save the 9th and 10th primary wing feathers and 3 to 5 breast feathers from harvested turkeys after telechecking. For a feather submission form and more information from MDC, visit the MDC website. Once hunters have signed up for the program and telechecked a turkey, they'll be mailed a feather submission packet containing additional instructions and a postage-paid envelope for the feathers to be placed inside and mailed back to MDC. And that's a look at today's top stories and weather in the 4 states region. Up next on KOAM, the manhunt for an escaped prisoner in Pennsylvania is now over. We have the latest details on how the fugitive was caught. And later, we're making homemade biscuits and gravy in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Stay tuned. The manhunt for an escaped prisoner in Pennsylvania is now over. Authorities finally located Daniello Cavalcante in a rural part of Chester County, nearly 2 weeks after he went on the run. Bradley Blackburn reports from New York.
State police in Pennsylvania finally nabbed escaped inmate Danilo Cavalcante, seen here in handcuffs and a damp Eagles sweatshirt, as officers led him to a waiting SWAT vehicle Wednesday morning.
Our nightmare is finally over and the good guys won.
The break came around midnight when a burglar alarm went off within the police perimeter in Chester County. Officers didn't find Cavalcante but began to zero in on an area where aircraft picked up a heat source. Around 8 a.m., tactical teams made their move.
They were able to move in very quietly. They had the element of surprise. Cavalcante did not realize he was surrounded until that had occurred.
But he didn't surrender.
He began to crawl through thick underbrush, taking his rifle with him as he went.
A dog finally subdued the suspect.
Thank God there were no injuries to law enforcement or to the public.
Cavalcante broke out of the Chester County Prison 2 weeks ago, crab walking up the walls. His time on the lam included stealing and ditching a van, stealing a .22 caliber rifle from a garage, and putting the entire area on alert.
It's been definitely a fear factor because I have a 4-year-old little boy.
Authorities say Cavalcante will be returned to full justice, serving a life sentence for the murder of his ex-girlfriend in front of her 2 children. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
County commissioners say changes are already being made to bolster security at the prison. Authorities had offered a $25,000 reward for information leading to Cavalcante's capture. And as Baxter Springs, Kansas deals with 2 plant closings, the community is trying to connect job seekers with potential employers. The job fair was open to the community, but the first hour was dedicated to job seekers that have been recently laid off due to yellow freight and King Louis closings.
We actually invited employers from Missouri and Oklahoma, since we're so close to the border, to join us at the job fair today. So we're hoping that, those that live in Oklahoma, maybe they can find something a little bit closer to their home. Although we would like to keep them in Kansas, we still invited some employers from out of state.
Still to come on KOAM News at Noon, we see what's cooking with Mr. Food.
We're making a down-home Southern treat that's as good for breakfast as it is for dinner. And it starts with this. Any guesses to what it is?
But first, we have got ourselves a warm week ahead as temperatures begin to rise. We'll take a look at that forecast when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at Noon. So we've still got those below average temperatures for today, but that's going to begin to change over the course of the next few days. Let's take a look outside. MoDOT camera 20th and range line in Joplin, looking back to the south. We've got some sun, we've got some clouds. As the clouds continue to increase, you can see increasing clouds from the MoDOT camera. US 60, Missouri 59 in Neosho, not blocking the sun completely, but they are increasing out there. And same from our camera here at the KOAM studios, just south of Pittsburgh, north of Crestline. Crestline's just like right down the road over there. We're starting to see those clouds increasing. And KDOT camera at US 69 East 520th Avenue, seeing plentiful sunshine, but again, clouds will continue to increase across the area. And there's another view of those slowly but surely increasing clouds across the Joplin metro area. We are at 75 right now, partly cloudy skies, variable breeze at about 3. The air fairly dry out there. And as we head over to Pittsburgh, quick check of temperatures there, 74. Feels like 74. Again, the air dry, dew point even lower, down 44, humidity 34%, with a southeast breeze at about 7 miles an hour. Temperatures around the area looking pretty good so far. A little warmer out to the west, 78 Sedan, 77 Neodesha and Independence, 76 Chinook, Parsons, Miami, and 75, lots of those, Neosho, Carthage, Anderson, Lamar. Number of 75s on the board this afternoon. As we head further into the afternoon, we're looking at highs capping out for the most part right about 77. But as you saw, we're going to be in the mid to upper 70s, and we'll continue to see increasing clouds for the afternoon and still looking at mostly cloudy skies later today and into the evening hours. A cool evening ahead of us, but not too bad out there. But another chilly overnight ahead of us as well, as we see lows drop back into the mid to upper 50s across the area. We head into our Thursday. We're a little warmer. You saw our average highs about 83, so we're still technically below that, but inching closer as temperatures continue to rise. Partly cloudy skies. We'll see a southeast breeze at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. So I said we're inching closer to our average. In fact, we're going to surpass our average, potentially fairly well surpass it as we head into the next several days. So we're going to start getting in the low 80s. So by Saturday, we're at our average at 83 with some pop-up showers possible Friday and Saturday. Then we hit 85. So we're just a little above average, and we continue to see temperatures climb as we head into next week. And of course, we're still a week away, but this is what the trends are showing. Not like anybody's going to like this as we start climbing upper 80s into the low 90s, potentially putting us about 10 degrees above where we should be for this time of year, which also puts us close to record territory in some cases as well. But the flip side of that is we also see an increasing risk for some pop-up thunderstorms Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. And of course, with the corresponding rise in our high temperatures comes a corresponding rise in low temperatures. They start climbing low to mid 60s, upper 60s, near 70. So we talked about it last week. We are continuing that roller coaster ride, that fall transition roller coaster where we start to see temperatures fall back and then they start to climb again and then they'll come back down as we make that transition to the middle of winter, because there's really only 2 seasons here in the 4 states. There's summer and winter, and then this weird bumpy period in between.
I hear it's first fall and then second fall, right? Isn't that a thing?
Yeah, first fall, there's false fall, summer returns, then there's second fall, and then it's just straight up winter. So
always keeping us guessing. I like that. Well, stick around because we're making homemade biscuits and gravy in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. It's time to check in with Howard and the Mr. Food kitchen staff. Today he's making a dish that will take your taste buds down south to where good old-fashioned recipes are still king. It's called homemade biscuits and gravy. Take a look.
If I asked you to name a dish that is as good for dinner as it is for breakfast, what comes to mind? Sure, it could be anything from French toast to an omelet, but the dish that we're talking about today is a Southern favorite that is as down home as you can get. It's biscuits and gravy, and the quick version we're making today is as tasty as it gets. All we do after browning some butter in a skillet is to saute a pound or so of pork sausage until it's cooked through. Now, we stir in some flour. You see, the flour mixes with the butter and the drippings and makes what's known as a roux, which will thicken our gravy. Once that cooks for a bit, we add a shake or two of Worcestershire sauce, a bit of salt and pepper, and we slowly stir in some milk. While that simmers, you can whip up a batch of biscuits to serve your gravy over. And when you spoon this over the piping hot biscuits, get ready for some good old-fashioned Southern eating. I do hope you'll go online and get the recipe for our homemade biscuits and gravy, so you'll be armed with a recipe that's as fitting for dinner as it is for breakfast. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a more comforting way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
To find this recipe along with many others, just head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com and click on Mr. Food. Now here's a look at your 4-state market prices.
All right, so we've got another below average day today and into tomorrow, but temperatures will start to warm up, low, mid, even upper 80s heading into next week. And we've got some shower chances as we head into Friday and Saturday, but a little bit of a return to summer coming soon to the 4 states.
All right, looks like you got something for everything on that forecast there, Chris.
You bet.
Well, what do you have for us, Dow?
Well, at 5, an FDA advisory panel is raising serious questions about a key ingredient in popular cold medicines. The 16-member panel unanimously concluded that 10 milligrams of phenylephrine works no better than a placebo to unclog a stuffy nose. We're going to have more on that story for you. Also, Special Olympics is hosting a first-in-the-nation program that young athletes with older athletes for competition, and second-year KCU medical students spend the day with some Joplin 5th graders. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's all coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
And that's the news for now. Thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.